go to the next presenter, and the next presenter is Mr. Luis Fernandez. So Luis, join us, please.
Hello, everyone. Glad to see you all today. My name is Luis Fernandez, and I'm greeting you all from Mexico. So COVID-19 has been a place where a lot of innovation has happened. COVID sort of pushed us towards digitalizing almost everything, the way we eat, the way we go to the doctor, the way that we shop online, et cetera, et cetera. And healthcare hasn't been an exception to this equation. A lot of innovations have happened in the healthcare sector, and I'm going to talk to you about first the innovation process, but with a small glimpse towards the scientific method. So in the case of entrepreneurship and intrapreneurship, it means that we intend to create something under conditions of great uncertainty. And the way to build a startup or build an intrapreneurship, which is a startup within a company, is very similar to the scientific method. So first we have a problem identified. Then we estimate how many people or how many businesses have this problem. Then we build a hypothesis on how to solve this problem. We select a way to make money for us to be a sustainable business or a sustainable organization. Then we make some financial projections regarding costs, expenses, revenue, etc. Then we build what we call a minimum viable product or a minimum viable service. So the startup movement is characterized by mainly building something with the least required characteristics in order to see if this hypothesis proves either true or false. And then if we don't have a success on proving this hypothesis, then we pivot, we make changes until we validate enough the hypothesis. So that's when we made the validation and adjustment. So the same as the scientific method, we have a sample size, and then in that sample size, we want to survey or we want to experiment. And the same thing happens in entrepreneurship. So after that, we get some funding. We start on product or service development, which is another part of the MVP, MVS creation, but in a more formal part. Then we scale sales and we tailor everything we've made. We seek more funding, then we scale sales until eventually we make what we call the exit, which is selling your company to another bigger company, and then eventually hopefully become a unicorn one day, which is a startup valued on over $1 billion, which is something that most entrepreneurs wish and dream of course. And a lot of startups have been struggling through this pandemic, but also other startups, especially in the healthcare sector, have been finding new ways to innovate and help more people. And I'm here today to talk to you about some cases of success in the intrapreneurship and entrepreneurship world that have really made a difference on the way that we are seeing the healthcare sector operate today. So we have identified 5 technological challenges during COVID-19. Of course, there's many more, but I can mention these 5, which is the availability of critical devices. So we all know that we're seeking for ventilators. We were seeking for ventilators. Now we're seeking for oxygen concentrators, et cetera, et cetera. So there's always some sort of component missing of critical technology. And it's very interesting because in countries like Mexico, where we don't have a matured medical device industry, we don't have a lot of companies building ventilators here. So most of the companies that are building ventilators are either on Europe or in the States. And when we want to buy some ventilators, there's double or triple the price. And of course, there's a scarcity of them as well. Another big topic is data availability and reliability. So 10 years ago on H1N1, we were struggling as a country to know how many ventilators available there were worldwide to address the epidemic of H1N1. 10 years after, we still don't know the answer to this question because of problem with data. And not only on the medical device field, but also on other critical parts as well. So of course, we know the situation as well, the limited ICU bed capacity, blood donors availability, because a lot of people don't want to go to blood banks or hospitals to donate blood unless they really, really have to. And of course, the topic of today, vaccine availability and deployment. So these are main challenges that we see a lot on social media, on professional talks, etc. And I'm going to present to you the case of some startups that have been either entrepreneurship or intrapreneurship and innovating during these times of COVID. Next slide, please. So the first one is, of course, IFMB Clinical Engineering Division. So we found out that there was a massive flow of information that, somebody said that there was a solution to this problem and you should do it this way, and then that the vaccine should be used this way, or that you're going to react to this way regarding some practice, or that the ventilator should be checked like this, or I don't know if you remember the 3D printed duplex part where you could connect the ventilator to 2 patients. So this was a lot of unreliable or false information out there. And on CED, with the company of some people here today, such as Rosanna, Tom Judd, Yadin David, Callie Roy, and some others, we gathered, we discussed this problem, and then we said, you know what, like we should do something about it, and CED should communicate, information that we at least give it a little check and see if it's from a verified source. So we created a daily, weekday campaign where we send information to a voluntarily registered audience. And by this, we've already sent over 320 issues sent. So we've turned 1 year not so long ago. We've collected 2,600 citations from COVID-related topics. We've also 12,000 subscribed members, and we have an information repository located in the GCA website. And we've also made some positive impact on people's further actions, because of course, there's a lot of false information out there, and IFMB Clinical Engineering Division seeks to, with the leadership of people like Elliot Sloan, Tom Judd, Yadin David, Rosanna, Callie Roy, and myself, we seek to make this difference with this audience. Next slide, please. Another very nice project was the VSC 2002 emergency ventilator, where a public hospital here in Mexico teamed up with the private industry to create an emergency critical COVID-19 ventilator. And with this, we created this ventilator, and then it was deployed to not only Mexican hospitals with authorization from Mexican FDA, but also to some countries in the Caribbean. In here, we seek to showcase that if we invest enough time and money, of course, to national industry, we will be able to push not only local needs and national needs, but also to demonstrate that we can, as a country, produce our own solutions. Next slide, please. Another topic was that Tech Salud, which is a big educational chain here in Mexico with the chain of hospitals as well, detected a similar project where we had this nasal high flow nasal cannula device, need to be developed. With this medical device now being developed and authorized by the Mexican FDA, they're seeking this authorization. We also seek to demonstrate that we as a country can produce, of course, the solutions that we need for this. Next slide, please. This is another one. So the Mexican Consortium of Hospitals is the biggest private hospital chain here in Mexico. They have over 50 hospitals. So what we did at TINC is we asked for their medical device inventories, then we standardized the nomenclature to a global medical device nomenclature. We uploaded it to our CMMS, and then we analyzed the data and made a renovation plan for them to procure medical equipment on massively and save up until 30% on equipment acquisition. Next slide, please. Also, this is another very nice project built by Health IES and Hacking Health Monterrey, COVID 3DMX. So we were seeing a lot of fraudulent activities between unknown providers with hospitals as well. So we decided to build a validation source where we received the needs from the hospitals, and then we verified some providers and then just connected providers with hospitals as well. We created over 100 connections, verified over 300 verified providers, and also increased the number of options for hospitals by over 30%. Next slide, please. And blooders, which is a really, really nice project. There's a lot of blood donation needed. Mexico is the last place worldwide with voluntarily blood donation. So this startup, Blooders, decided to build campaigns over people who needed blood with the installed base of donors. So they already worked with 187 organizations, 35,000 donors registered, 10,000 successful donations, etc. Where Blooders is making a real difference for people that need blood right now, and of course to save lives as well. Next slide, please. So our conclusions were, we've learned a lot from H1N1 and COVID-19. There's a lot of problems that need to be solved. But the real question that I want you to answer to yourself is, what have we really done about it? So how will we act upon the next pandemic? 10 years ago with H1N1, something happened. So the same things happen in COVID-19. And what have we really done about it? Plus, innovation and reliable data are key components to fight all of the challenges in healthcare sector that we're experimenting today. Of course, governments and regulations need to be enhanced on their facilities to new developments of the national industries. We need to involve more the universities' final projects towards these needs. And last but not least, the world, we live in a world where we need data to make better decisions. And now with digital health, that is very possible. And I would like to invite you to place your hope not on faith, but on data, so you can make better decisions on the day of tomorrow for the next pandemic. Thank you. That'll be all from me today.
Thank you very much, Luis.